If you don't know what that is, that's the nose cone of the starter. Yep, broke it clean off. But wait, it gets better.
We have here, must be some hooligans.
Hey, wanna go for a ride in my square body?
Yeah.
Well, took Square Body out for a drive, had some running around to do today. Running good, but starting to pull a hill and all of a sudden it just started revving. Pulled over, checked trans fluid, it's full on the stick. The only gear she has left is first, so we're trying to gently get her home here. Well, here's the culprit of all my pain and agony. The 700R4 that we had built. It was a full max built trans when we went to take this truck on Hot Rod Power Tour back in 2022. This thing only has 50,000 miles on it, if that. And I spent a lot of money to have this thing built. And looking at the trans fluid, it looks like the third and fourth gear friction plates. We have the other 700R4 on the transmission jack. Well, who knew that putting another transmission in your truck would make your truck stop running? This acts as an actual spark plug. If this one does not light up and this one does not light up, then we have an issue in the distributor. If this one lights up and that one also lights up and this thing still doesn't want to run, basically it needs a set of plugs. Alrighty, all the new plugs are in. Let's hit the key and hope it fires up. If it don't fire up and it's still acting the same, then I think we have some very, very bad issues going on. So we're gonna find out. Crazy what a set of plugs will do. How about it? Well, now that this thing seems to be, functional again, let's get it all cleaned up. We're gonna run it over to the car show. We'll take you guys with us for that. Well, short-lived. The square body's making some noise. I have no idea what it is. Sounds like something rotating, and it also ain't running exactly right. Well, new transmission, check. Rebuilding another motor, probably. That sounds like a lifter. Got the valve cover bolts out of it. Get the valve cover off here, take a look. I'm just taking a look down here. First thing you do, look at your lock nut, see where it is on the threads. All those look normal. Wait a minute. That's not right. Oh. Oh no. Me totally not just tightening this and hoping that there's no damage to the lifter or anything. Yeah, I'll be fine, boys. I'll be fine. So I did notice that old nut was still coming back loose, so I robbed another one off a different set of heads here. That will be a temporary solution / fix for the moment. Hey now! There ain't no noise coming from that guy back there! Oh man. Alright, now that I think this thing is not gonna, blow up, let's hop back in on what our actual timing issue is. I'm gonna take you back a few months here to a video that we were working on this truck behind the scenes, probably about 3 or 4 months ago now. And then we'll kind of bring you back in after we discussed back then what we need to discuss back then. So we're gonna bring that until it comes all the way up. And I don't have a piston stop or anything, so we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way and just kind of guesstimate. So we're pulling out our #1 spark plug here. This is also gonna give me an idea of how fat it's running, because it's Oh yeah, wow, look at that. She was running pig fat. So I got this small Pittsburgh pick. We'll stick it in the hole here and see. There's no pith in there. So the best way to do that, like I said, put the pick in, you can kind of feel where the piston's at in the hole. It's still down a little bit, so that means we still got to rotate her some more. So putting our pick in the hole here, I got it pretty close. Oh, it just started to go down. Okay, so I need to back it up just a tiny little bit. It's one of those things you gotta just kind of feel for it. If you have a friend help you, that'll usually make it a little better. Okay, I'm gonna call that somewhere right in there. Now let's go take a look at our cap, so I can already tell from here that it's wrong. So once again, to sum it up, we talked about this in the 283 video that was out a few months ago. When you go to put your cap on, you have to pick which one is going to be your number one. I always pick this front one right here, just ahead of where you plug everything in at. So if that's your number one, that's where your rotor's got to be. And looking at our rotor, it looks like it is past that. Cap wants to be on right there. Number one's right there. So I'll get you guys angled up in the best angle. Oh, wow. The rotor's past it. So although this thing did run, it was never set right. And that was my mistake because once again, I was so hyper-focused on the idea that that rotor needed to be pointed towards number one. It's pointed perfectly towards number one. I did a swell job at that, but it doesn't need to be pointing here. It needs to be pointing here. So what we're gonna do is we have to loosen up our distributor bolt. We gotta pull it up and you're just gonna feel it with the teeth, rotate it, set it back down and see where we're at. I'm gonna pull this sucker all the way out just because our rod for the oil pump is gonna also have to rotate. So you look all the way down in there, you kind of can't see it because it won't focus, but that little guy down there is our oil pump drive shaft. We're gonna have to spin that in relationship with the bottom of our distributor to get them to meet up properly. All right, so we have that adjusted a little better now. So now we put our cap on. In the last video, I was waiting for someone to comment on it, but they didn't. The fuel hose that's kind of ran up like that. So that's obviously there's a hard line here. This carb is not the carb that's supposed to be on it, but it's the carb that's currently on it because we had some issues with the other carb and waiting for some parts to come in. So while we're waiting, you know, this one's on there for right now. So that's kind of why that hose is ran like that. Alrighty, everything is plugged back in and I think we're ready to fire it up and see where we're at. So to set this timing light up and use it, it's very simple. You have a negative and a positive lead that need to go to your battery terminals. And then you gotta hook the old clamper on, you know, the first, you know, number one spark plug wire. So we have that done. Then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna fire it up. And I wanna see what this is initially set at. We're gonna point it down at our balancer down in there. You kind of can't see it, but basically you wanna see the line on the, you know, the timing tab where it says 0, then the line that's on the harmonic balancer. You wanna see them match up, and that'll pretty much tell you what your timing is. So what I'm seeing when I put the timing light down on the damper is that I have to have the timing light turned all the way to 40 degrees advanced until I see that line come up and line up with the timing tab. That means we have a slew of issues going on, and it can be one of two-ish things. So you guys watched me set it up to TDC and then set the distributor based in upon that. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the distributor in relationship to where number one is in the hole is good. So what we also noticed, and I didn't even look at it at first, but the timing tab, when it's set to TDC, I didn't even look at it, but the tab is not even lined up with the mark on the balancer. As you can see here, it's keyed one way to go onto the crank, so you can only put it on one way, and then you have your line for the timing tab right there. So this can only go on one way. And then for a lot of these 80 blocks, for all these blocks produced in the 80s, they all had what they call the 12 o'clock timing tab. So that means the timing tab, as you can see here, was straight up above the crank, as this one is offset. So the one that's currently on this engine actually sits here, and it sits like right here. So that's gonna throw you off by a few degrees. Where this keyway is and how everything is clocked, it's clocked differently to accept that timing tab. So the only other issue that it could be is that these are a two-piece deal, the outer and then the inner, and then there's this rubber gasket that sits in between them. These can get old and get cracked, and then this outer can actually spin. So basically what we're gonna do for now, just to get this by, since that project is not happening right here, right now, basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna base set the timing where it's close, and then we're gonna go time it the old school fashion way. The old school method basically is you set the timing and go run it up the hill. If it's not detonating and you can hear, you know, like detonation knock, then you put a little bit more advance into it. And then basically we're gonna keep advancing it until you just start hear it tapping. And then we're just gonna spin it back just a little bit until we don't hear it no more, set it and forget it. And we're just gonna run it like this for now. So basically what we're struggling with is I have no way to truly time this right now. And after sitting on it and thinking about it, I don't think there's anything wrong with this harmonic balancer. What the true actual issue is the issue with the balancer not being right with the timing tab. Here's the old budget build 350, still waiting for her return here. But I was digging around and I found what was the balancer off of this engine. So this balancer never made it onto that other engine with the current timing tab. So basically what the main difference is these balancers have a keyway on them. Obviously that's where they go on to the crank. This keyway and the way that this goes on the crank when you have your timing cover on with your timing tab is different on this setup than it is on the engine that's currently in that truck. And what I'd have to do is I'd either have to put the other harmonic balancer on it or put another timing cover on it. Neither two are things in which I'm currently looking to do at this very stage and moment. Alrighty, back in business here on the square body. I've did some things off camera. Let's try to get you caught up. First and foremost, I swapped back to the single feed Brawler 650 mechanical secondary carb. This is the one that always kind of was with the budget build 350 when it was in this truck. I just like this carburetor. Before I go crazy, I don't necessarily want to pull the harmonic balancer off, and that is specifically due to absolute laziness. So what I'm doing instead is, you know, we rolled it up TDC here. I've actually been using my little 1/4-inch ratchet as a piston stop, which, believe it or not, works really well. As long as you're not cranking on the ratchet, you can kind of come up on it and feel it bump against it, so you know you're up on number one. Then what I'm doing here is just kind of verifying where all the timing is. And basically what I'm trying to do is set the distributor so I have more advance that I can roll into it. Before it only had, you know, if it was, you know, pointer was pointing at number one on what's supposed to be on the cap, I always usually tend to set the vacuum, you know, advance somewhere in here, but then it runs into the back of the intake here. So it really limits me on how much advance I can put into this thing. So what I'm trying to do is have it rotated back further. And honestly, I might move where number one is. I usually put my number one right here to the left of what would be like the wire plug-in for, you know, your HEI, you know, power and the tack and everything else. I might move it back one behind it. That way for where this pointer lines up and where I can have this distributor rotated, I can have, you know, the vacuum advance almost pointing to 8 or behind number 8, and it gives me that much more of a sweep to advance it. A little while later, car's back together, distributor's back together. We're trying to get this thing to fire up. And one of the hidden issues that I really haven't discussed on camera until right about now is that the flywheel that was on this engine was the one that was on it when it was in that brown C20 that we had. I never swapped it, and I kind of meant to, but just kind of within slamming things together like I always do, was in a rush and just threw it all together. Well, this thing's always, and it was very, very random, and it was like, it almost made itself not even noticeable, but there's a couple teeth on the flywheel that are like chipped off. And well, every once in a blue moon when you go to fire this thing up, it'd skip. And, you know, I never thought much about it. I'd turn the key off, turn it back on, and, you know, hit it again, and then it would fire up, or, you know, whatever, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But got it all back together and was trying to get it to fire up, and it was being a little cantankerous, and was just messing with it, and it skipped for the first time in how long. And I was like, all right, no big deal. And I hit the key again, and I heard a tink, and something hit the floor. That's what hit the floor. If you don't know what that is, that's the nose cone of the starter. Yep. Broke it clean off. But wait, it gets better. Son of a biscuit. Hold me now, I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking about jumping. This is exactly what happens when you take shortcuts, folks. When you see something and you go, we'll let it ride. Because not only did I let that flywheel ride once, I let it ride twice. I thought about changing the flywheel when we had the transmission out, but for my schedule and stuff and just how much stuff I had going on, I said, I just want to get the transmission back in it. See how well that went over for me now, don't you? Well, I can barely stay on the side of this truck right now, so I'm gonna get it out of the shop here. And I have other projects that we need to be working on right now, so we're gonna stuff this away in the corner and come back to it at some point. Well, y'all, that is not how I wanted to conclude this video. That truck, I mean, it bothers me that every single year we're fighting something stupid with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with me being in a hurry and slamming things together around here. I am so limited on how much time that I have. I usually have a day or two on a weekend to try to put stuff together around here. And it's tough trying to do that and do the video thing at the same time. I'm not complaining. I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of guess that's kind of what I get for trying to slam stuff together. Basically, what's next for the square body is unfortunately, I'm not doing the block repair work to that bolt hole with the engine in the truck. I'm just not. And honestly, I really don't want that engine in that truck anyways. That engine was specifically a placeholder in that truck, so that motor's coming out, and we're going to put another one together for it. The engine that has put Boneyard Revivals on the map in the YouTube community, the Budget Build 350, will be making its return and going back in that truck. There's a bunch of machine work that needs to be done to it, and basically I'm going to just have the machine work done. We're going to put that engine back together, and I want that engine back in that truck. Stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed for that. Shout out to the old F20 here for getting some work done around here. It seems to be the only thing that actually wants to run and operate correctly anymore. And it's bad because it's the oldest thing here. So, oh man. Well, get out in the garage. Keep wrenching on those projects, y'all. Your dreams won't work unless you do. We'll catch you next time here on Boneyard Revivals. Thanks for watching.